because there's always some nasty, mean-spirited bully that will make life difficult for you. It could be your boss. It could be another coworker. It could be a family member, an in-law. The list goes on and on and on. You need to know how to protect yourself when you are a minority, because if you are a minority and your finances are not in order and you are working around these kind of people, it's only a matter of time before one of those situations basically backs you into a corner and you're going to feel trapped. And all of a sudden, you're going to feel like the entire world is falling. A hostile work environment can take on many forms. A hostile work environment could be situations where you are the only Black person that's working in a particular company, a particular department. Maybe you're the only Black person in a specific position. Well, guess what happens when you're the only Black person a lot of times in a position of authority? Some of your white subordinates, they don't like to have a Black person as their supervisor. So guess what they're going to do when you become their supervisor? They're going to become insubordinate. And guess what's going to happen when you try to put them in their place? They're going to basically do all of this gaslighting thing and try to make it like you was harassing them and all this kind of thing, when in all actuality, they just don't like Black people and they don't want a Black boss. Don't let the looks fool you just because they in a big house and all that. Bigotry, hatred, evil, all that stuff doesn't have a race. It doesn't have an ethnicity. It does not have a social class. Some people at their very core are just rotten people. They just bad people. So it's important for you as a minority to make sure you are documenting your environment if you're working in a hostile work environment. Because if you lose your job, especially if you know you can't afford to lose your job, you're going to be the one having to worry about how you're going to pay that mortgage, how you're going to put food on the table, how you're going to pay that cell phone bill, right? So what you always want to make sure you do is record these interactions that you're having with these ignorant motherfuckers, so that if something goes down, at least you have record of what is being done. Think about how many of these situations over the last 5, 6, 7, 10 years that we've actually seen thanks to phone cameras that we wouldn't have seen happen had those incidents not been recorded. Think about that. So what you want to make sure you're doing is recording. Make sure you're wearing a recording device. I don't care if you're working around these people and they're trying to make life difficult for you. You got to make sure you're being proactive and that you are knowledgeable of your state law with respect to employment practices, with respect to your rights as a minority. If I know this one couple that's on Miss Netta and Charles, everybody talk about Miss Netta and Charles. And I think the story of Miss Netta and Charles should be a cautionary tale for just how vile and nasty people can be when they are envious and jealous of you. Overtly criticizing somebody's physical appearance, how their body looks, how their skin looks. You're talking about their mental capacity. When you are demeaning, demoralizing, humiliating somebody else that is less fortunate, somebody that is vulnerable, somebody that may not have the same abilities as you, someone that for the most part is a target, you're taking advantage of someone who is vulnerable. Most of us can't stand pedophiles. We can't stand rapists, right? Why is that bad, everybody? It's bad because those people violate someone's personal space. They're emotionally violating somebody, and they're doing it to someone who is weaker than them, someone that does not have the same power as them. So when you engage in bullying activity, you are no better than a rapist. You're no better than a pedophile. You're all in the same category. We've looked on our social media over the last 5 years, over the last 10 years. A lot of people that we went to school with, a lot of people that we hung out with, some of them people didn't make it to our age. And when you see a post about somebody dying of cancer at 43 years old, or you see a post about somebody dying in their sleep, you see a post about somebody having cardiac arrest, you really should stop and think to yourself before you become a bully, before you are allowing that nasty, vile spirit within you to try to bring down somebody else. You need to always remember that the same sky that person's walking under is the same sky you walking under. The same sun that hits that person's forehead, it can hit your forehead as well. So when you putting out vile and nasty stuff about folks, you're trying to bring people down because you're not a happy person. You're not doing anything but bringing that negative energy into your space. So I'm going to tell you this. A lot of people dying of cancer and stuff. A lot of people got a lot of stuff going on. Seem like they can never get nothing right. A lot of bad luck in their life. But then you get right on the computer and then you bully somebody just because they're 5,000 miles away and it's okay. Yeah, you talk about Miss Netta scammer. Guess what? How do you know that you won't be in a tragic car accident and your face not get messed up worse than you think Miss Netta face is? How do you know? You don't know how you gonna leave this world. You don't know what's gonna happen to you between now and the age of 6. Any fucking thing can happen to you. There's a whole bunch of people that's 60 years old and 70 years old that was hot shit in their 30s and in their 40s and can't walk right now on breathing machines right now. It has been scientifically proven, and it is becoming even more of a reality now than we thought before, that your conscious experience is made up of your thoughts. And when you are projecting negativity into the universe, you don't know how that may come back to you. A lot of people dying of cancer and stuff in their 30s and 40s. We don't know what kind of end. I'm not saying that just because you die of that you've been living wrong. That's not what I'm saying at all. But if you are going to live in this world, no matter how good of a person you are, you're going to suffer evil. You're going to suffer no matter how good you are. But guess what? Do you think it's going to help you if you're going out of your way to do wrong to people and to hurt people that ain't did shit to you? Folks going to work every day just trying to pay their bills. And they can't even go to fucking work and do their job, doing a good job, and can't even get a promotion because some hating motherfucker won't let them get a promotion. You go out of your way to help somebody get a job, and guess what? You help them get a job, and then 2 months later, they'll be trying to get your job, trying to get you fired. But then folks wonder why they don't have good luck. You wonder why folks falling out. Wonder about why folks dying of cancer prematurely. When you put out negative energy into this universe, people, positive energy doesn't come back to you. And I'm going to tell you something. Negativity can manifest itself in a lot of different ways. You don't know how that thing may come back to you. It may come back to you in your health. It might come back to you in your job. It may come back to you in so many different ways. So that's why I say, if you don't want some shit done to you, don't do it to other people. It's really just that simple. You're just trying to make a decent living. You're dealing with somebody who's a homophobe. You're dealing with somebody who's a racist. You're dealing with somebody who has narcissistic personality traits. You're dealing with all these kind of spirits. And it'd be so much easier if you could just live in peace, mind your business. But guess what? You can't never live in peace and mind your business as long as motherfuckers like that are on planet Earth. So you got to figure out a way to protect your energy and protect your peace. A lot of you are not really understanding the dangers of oversharing things on your social media. Every time you go somewhere, you will say exactly where you're going, exactly when you're going, everything you do, every move you do is be smart about how you use your social media. If you're going on a vacation, don't post it right then. Maybe delay it for a week or two. You leaving like I'm going to Nigeria. Look, when I say I'm going to Nigeria 9 times out of 10, when I make that post, I already done been there. I would just basically, I might delay it for 2 weeks. Because guess what? I don't need nobody to be predicting my moves like that. I don't need you to be knowing my moves like that. Because guess what? Everybody that's looking at you ain't looking out for you, don't give a fuck about you. I'm just saying. So when it comes to your social media usage, be strategic about your social media. Do not become too predictable in what you're doing. Don't allow people to know your moves like that, because people that have those vile and nasty spirits that I'm telling you about, they are watching what you're doing. And I'm going to tell you, I watch a lot of investigative discovery. I watch probably too much investigative discovery. I'm going to tell you something. Hateful, envious, jealous-hearted people, do not underestimate what they will do. So make sure you're being smart about your social media usage. Now, some of you, that's a struggle for you because you've struggled with validation issues and you feel like you just got to post everything because you just care that much about what people think about you. Well, guess what? The thing that makes you laugh will make you cry. So again, Be cognizant of your social media. You should be strategic about how you're using your social media, when you're posting things, what you're posting, just for security purposes, because you just never know who may be watching. If you walk in love, if you walk in a positive energy, I promise you, you will be much better off no matter what happens in the end. Because when you're going out of your way to be mean and hateful to folks, that's not going to end well for you. And for those of you who are having to deal with that, just make sure, again, you're recording all those activities, being cognizant of your surroundings. Don't get too comfortable with folks at these jobs. I'm telling you, don't get too comfortable with people, because folks will be around you, hee-heeing and ha-haing in your face and stuff. And behind your back, they plotting against you. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of times it's people that's closest to you. That's why a lot of time when you get that new promotion, or you get your business is growing, or all this, folks stop talking to you. People don't talk to you because they stand back and look at everything you're doing, but they're jealous, hearted, and envious. And so a lot of times it's the people that are closest to you. So don't ever get too comfortable with people and assume that they have your best interest at heart just because you're buddy with them at work, or you're always on the phone with them. You really don't know what a person is thinking about you. So you always have to be what? 5 steps ahead. You got to think about what they're not thinking about. Some of you are in marriages and you're also being bullied by your spouse, because they know you ain't got nowhere to go. They know that you ain't got no money. So guess what they do? They talk to you any kind of way. You see why it's so important when I talk about financial freedom. It's not just about being wealthy. It ain't got to be you being wealthy. It's about you being in a position where if somebody is talking to you crazy at your job, or you're in an abusive relationship, you have the financial stability to walk away from that situation and be able to live another day until you find a better situation. But you should never have to choose between your personal dignity and your livelihood. Nobody should ever have to make that decision. But this is what people deal with on a consistent basis. And it's very important that you know how to survive amongst wolves and monsters instead of being eaten by wolves and monsters. If you're Black, if you're woman, if you're LGBTQ+, if you're anyone who is a minority in any environment, you have to have your mind and your heart ready to deal with those kind of people and not allow your energy to be brought down to their energy. You keep your energy at the level it's supposed to be at and allow their negative energy to stay exactly where it is. This is Jerry Gordon, founder and CEO of the Black Wealth Company, where Black wealth is our business.
Freedom with Jerry.